It's likely that by now you've heard that Howard Stern, well-known shock jock and radio host, accidentally on a hot mic revealed that he's going to be involved in a Doom project, that he's spoken with Robert Downey Jr. on how to act, and all sorts of different fun secret, or supposedly secret, informations about the upcoming Doom project. And with that, there's lots of talks about who is going to play Doom, because I have to be honest with you, A, I don't think it's going to be Howard Stern, and B, I hope it's not Howard Stern. Nothing against him, but Doom is a very refined and sophisticated character, and Howard Stern has his own place in the world, but it is not as the actor for Victor Von Doom. We're going to talk about what the hot mic leak meant. Also, we're going to have a quick little fan cast, my top 5 picks for who I'd like to see play Doom in the MCU. Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to Cosmic Culture, the channel where we talk all things major movie and television news, theories, breakdowns, and much, much more. I'm your host, Chris, and if you haven't already, consider subscribing to the channel and turning on that notification bell. You can also check me out on my other socials, Instagram at Chris M. Rosser and Twitter at TheCultureChris. Links to both of these are in the description down below. So, for starters, let's touch on the hot mic story. In case you haven't already heard it or seen an article about what's going on there, Howard Stern, while in between sessions on his talk show, was having a conversation. However, his mic was still on, so while the commercials and the whole radio jingles and everything was going on, you could also hear very faintly in the background him having a conversation where he talked about how all summer he was going to be working on the Doom project. Now, he didn't sound too excited, or rather he's trying to sound really cool as to not sound very excited about it, that it sounded like a lot of work. And he was talking with Robert Downey Jr. and trying to get John's number. Now, this is presumably Jon Favreau, who is a huge founding father of the MCU, and I would assume that's a good person whose advice to get if you're about to go work on a massive MCU project. Now, he didn't specifically say, I'm Doom in the project. He said, I'm working on the Doom project, which is very good news because I don't think many people would be very excited about him playing Doom. But there is something else to take away here. He didn't say he was working on a Fantastic Four project. He said specifically working on a Doom project. So we are either getting a movie or a Disney Plus series, supposedly, based on the information from this hot mic leak, that we will be getting a Doom specific project. Now, whether that's the origin story of Victor Von Doom, how he became a bad guy, where he fits into the MCU, how the Fantastic Four kind of revolve around that, we don't have the details on. We don't even know how the Fantastic Four are going to show up in the MCU in the main timeline. Yes, we have been introduced to the smartest man alive, Reed Richards, who, it has been confirmed, was using Doom technology, Victor Von Doom's technology, when we saw him appear from what we were all thinking was a TVA portal, which was a connection to Kang. But no, it was a connection to Doom. So all of these little seeds are being dropped on us. But where do they finally show up in the main MCU? That we really just don't know. However, when and where and how and if Doom does show up, these are the characters I think I would be most excited to see play a very important role. You guys have to keep in mind that if we're headed in the direction of Secret Wars, Doom is one of the big players involved in Secret Wars. In fact, God Emperor Doom, which is the title bestowed upon Victor Von Doom, when he is reigning supreme over the remaining universe that exists after a massive incursion that causes all of the universes to collapse on top of themselves, creating Battleworld. And God Emperor Doom reigns supreme. He's the one wearing all the white with the really cool face and the superpower, and he rips Thanos' skeleton out with his spine in his hand. Super cool character, super powerful character, and one that will require a huge actor. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be a big named actor, but whoever does play this role is going to have quite the responsibility. So here, out of, the well-known actors that we know already, are my list of characters who I would like to see. Coming in at number 1, my most number 1 pick, I would like to see Nikolai Coster-Waldau. Now, if you don't know who this is, he was Jaime Lannister in Game of Thrones. I think he has the perfect face structure. He is a fantastic actor who plays good guy, bad guy, switches back and forth throughout the entirety of Game of Thrones, which was a massive series with a huge cult following. He did a superb job there. He has the acting abilities, he has the facial recognition, he's a good looking guy, he's got everything I think it would take to be a very convincing Doom. in the MCU. On top of that, playing the role of Jaime Lannister, if you're familiar with Game of Thrones, you know what I'm talking about, and if you're not, I'll try to explain it. He bounces back and forth. You like him, you hate him, you like him, you hate him. Sometimes you're rooting for him, sometimes you're rooting for him to die. He really knows how to play both sides, and that's something I think with a Victor Von Doom, we're going to want to see. Traditionally, Von Doom is one of Reed Richards' good friends before they part ways and disagree on the philosophy of superpowers, and many other scientific and Marvelistic things that we'll see how they adapt that to the MCU. But somebody who can play both sides, good guy, bad guy, that's something that I really do see from Nikolai Coster-Waldau, and I'd love to see him bring that to the MCU. Second on my list is Gabriel Match, who you will know from his biggest role in Suits, which was a very successful television series where he played this very convincing lawyer, and he just has this elegance, this suave, and this confidence about him, but this hidden emotion. The whole point of his character is, oh, I don't care, nothing gets to me, but you see throughout the creation of the series, they did not suddenly get broken down, and these emotions are there. And in fact, these hidden emotions and these blocked out feelings are kind of what drive him to be a winner all the time. And you'd have to watch the series to truly understand that, but how suave the character is, how capable the character is, and of course the dashing good looks are all elements that I think could create a very, very convincing Doctor Doom. And I'd like to see this confidence, this bravado, and this hidden emotional wall brought over for this character into the MCU, and I think he definitely has the capability of playing that strong of a role, and he's young enough that he could carry it over for quite some time. Which, as if we've been mentioning and everybody's hoping we're headed towards Secret Wars, Doom is going to have to be a character that's going to be in the MCU for a long time. He's not going to be a one-off, a two-off movie character. We'll be seeing him several times on the big screen. I do believe eventually, and although we do have Kang, Doom is going to be playing a significant role on the bad side of the MCU. Truth be told, those would be my picks. I would want to get one of the two of them to do this. I don't really think anybody else, as far as known actors, has the look, the acting ability, the foresight, and the charisma to play a Doom character as well as those two do. But I do have a few other honorable mentions for you. Number one is Timothy Olyphant, who you will remember from The Mandalorian. He had on Boba Fett's armor. He's a very talented actor. He's been in several different projects. He showed up in The Office. He showed up in Santa Clarita Diet. Lots of different fun projects that he's been involved in. And I also think he has the looks, which is an important part for Victor Von Doom. Even though you say, oh, he wears a mask all the time. Well, I think somebody dashing who loses that look because they become scarred is a big part of some of the rage that goes into being Von Doom. Of course, obviously, all of the depression and the hidden emotions, that's all part of it as well. But Timothy Olyphant does have, I think, some of the elements to play a convincing Doctor Doom. I will say that to some extent, he is a little bit more maybe silly than serious in the majority of the projects that he shows up on, but that doesn't mean he doesn't have the capability to play a very serious character. Moving on from him, this is one that a lot of you guys have actually mentioned to me, and this I didn't actually think about. He plays such a prominent role somewhere else, didn't even consider that switch over. And Hayden Christensen, who you will know as Anakin, he actually could play a very cool Victor Von Doom. He has the emotional rage, turning on his best friend, I hate you down. It could actually work very well. Now, is Hayden Christensen up to work on a character for 8+ years in the MCU? Not really sure. He had just recently returned to play Darth Vader and flashbacks of Anakin Skywalker in the Obi-Wan Kenobi series, and I think this is a good pick that a lot of you guys have actually brought to my attention. It wasn't one that I thought myself, so I'm not going to pretend like I did, but very, very cool pick as well, and I would be very okay with seeing Hayden Christensen maybe step into the MCU and play this character. Now, while I was coming up with my list of who do I want to see Doom, I was asking myself, well, what about somebody else? And by somebody else, I mean, not the typical white guy that Dr. Doom is. Victor Von Doom is generally a white male in the comics. So generally, when we think of who could play Dr. Doom, we try to make it as close to what he looks like in the comics, and we move on from there. But Marvel has been stepping out of bounds. They have been introducing new characters with new colors and all sorts of new races, and I think that's really, really cool. Who would I cast? I've thought about it, and I was thinking, it would be cool to have an Idris Elba type doing this role, but Idris Elba already exists in the MCU as Heimdall, and I don't see him going over and playing Doom. Marvel's very, very picky about stuff like that, and generally that's not what's going to happen. It did come to my brain, however, Antonio Banderas, who, if you watched Uncharted, played a Victor Von Doom-esque role. Super rich guy that likes to betray everybody, very suave, very capable, and, you know, thinks he deserves everything, that everything's his calling. So seeing Antonio Banderas play a Doom, that could be a lot of fun. I actually wouldn't be opposed to that whatsoever. But if we were to step outside the bounds of the comic book origin of what Von Doom looks like, if we were to get somebody other than a white man, who would you like to see play that role? Or what white man would you like to see play that role? Because to be fair, Von Doom is white, and generally when you do translate stuff over the comics, you bring that too. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. You guys heard what I think. Nikolai Coster-Waldau or Gabriel Match, either one would be perfect for me. I would love to see this happen in the MCU. Both have incredible acting skills and definitely will play a very convincing and rageful Von Doom. But let me know your guys' thoughts in the comment section down below. The Doom project is happening somewhere, and maybe during San Diego Comic-Con or D23 or maybe even Disney Plus Day, we might get an update about where exactly we are at with this project. Thank you guys so much for watching to the very end of the video. I'll be sure to catch you all in the next one right here on Cosmic Culture.